All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What's going on, everybody? Before I even get into it right now, 11 of 12 of the fast draft is full. One person needs to join. I think probably a couple of you are in it right now, but we have one person left, 11 of 12. Marley and I are in. So if you guys want to get in, the drafters, get in right now. You guys can draft with us. Any questions you guys have, we'll answer it throughout. We do have a promo code going on. Our partner is drafters.com right here. They're going to match you 100%. Up from $20 all the way up to $100. If you don't use the promo code, they only match 50%. So make sure you use this promo code SHIPIT, 100% match from $20 all the way up to $100. So that's 5 drafts. There's a $20 one. There's a $3 contest. We're drafted in the $20 one right now. Again, one person. I don't know. It might be full right now, but these do take a little while sometimes. We don't want to sit and wait forever. So hopefully you guys can get in here. Again, any questions you guys have, you can ask. We'll be in here every single week as well. Still one spot available for a
just filled
draft.
up. We're rolling.
Just filled up. Perfect.
Ooh.
Hopefully, if anyone's in
right
here,
next to each other.
Oh, good. I don't have 6 again. I don't have that spot again. If anyone's
I don't like 3 actually. I'm cool with 2 where I'm at because I know I'm getting Jefferson or Chase. Yeah. But 3, since I'm not high on CMC, and then Hill and Cup are kind of the same thing to me. I just don't have a preference. I'd rather let one slide, but
I agree. I'd rather be 5 than 3, but I just didn't want to get 6. I think is my least favorite just because I view Jefferson, C-Mac. I like C-Mac more than you. Chase, Tyree, Cup, all in like their own tier. Then I view Kelsey and Eckler as a little drop off, but I just didn't want the same spot as I had last one. Man, just missed out. I'm sorry, Rybars. It's It can take a little while for these to fill up. So we were going live, one spot left. Hopefully you'll get in the next one, Rybar. We'll be doing these every single week here. But we didn't want to be sitting on here. Show starts at 11 Eastern. These can take 20 minutes sometimes to fill the fast draft. So we had to get in. But any questions you guys have throughout, of course, drop them in here. Marley, sorry, I didn't really throw it over to you yet. I was making sure everyone knew we had a spot. What's going on?
Not much, man. Excited to do this draft. Even more excited now that I know I have the number 2 spot. I love number 1 and number 2. So feeling good about this one already. Last time I was where I don't like to be at the end of the drafts, but it turned out well for me. So just let the draft come to you. Sometimes it turns out better than you would think.
Yes, absolutely. Go collect. You missed 2. I saw you in the Discord. You've been drafting some good teams on DK. We'll be doing these every single week. Hopefully it's not going to be like this every time. It was just there was 10 people. I had to get in, be the 11th. We didn't want you guys to just sit around for 20 minutes. Who knows when the last one's going to fill. So in the future, last time we only had like 4 to start, so there's plenty of spots. It took forever to join. You guys will have plenty of times to get in these drafts as well. But slow drafts, fast drafts going on all the time over here at drafters.com. I think it's only like 11,000 out of 110,000 right now that are full. So still plenty of time, about 2 months till kickoff. But last year it did overlay. This year I wouldn't be surprised if it did as well. So make sure to hop in. I got the 3rd pick right now. Yeah, it's between Cup. It's between C-Mac. I'll go C-Mac though. I definitely am a little higher on C-Mac than Big Marley is, but I get it. Wide receivers, he likes taking early instead of late.
More a position thing, not a play. I mean, I definitely love C-Mac. It's just a positional thing. And I've been getting Cup. I have Cup ranked 3rd, so I get him a lot since I'm passing up on CMC. So I have been getting a little bit of CMC at 3 and 4 just to kind of make up for it because I think I was like at 3%. So I still want to be close to that 8% around the field, but I'm going to be under at the end of these drafts.
Yeah. So what's your thought process on that? Because some people might only be drafting 10 teams. And if you're drafting 10 teams, you don't really have to worry as much about a portfolio based on percentages and all that. But Marley, you're going to probably have 100 plus teams, all of that. Like, is there a cap where you don't want to go over X percentage of any player? What are your thoughts on that? Are you full fading certain guys that you know are going to get ownership? Like last year, I'll say Jonathan Taylor, I had none of. He was going the first pick in the draft. It was very easy, though, to full fade a player when he's going number one, because anytime you had number one pick, I just want McCaffrey or Jefferson. Usually it was McCaffrey I was going, but it's harder in like the middle positions when you're drafting so many teams, like make a stand and full fade someone. But is that something you do?
Yeah, I had a few fades last year. I don't really remember who they were. I had a couple good ones like Chase Edmonds. He was going just way too early for me. So that was the one I felt great about. I might have had one because it was an auto draft. But yeah, I'm okay with a few fades completely. This year it'll probably be Packers players, Washington, just the worst teams are the ones I don't want. But sometimes, on other sites, if I'm going for that week 17 correlation, that's where I will be okay getting some of those players, is just as a run back if I have a stack for the other team. But for max, I would say I'm fine going up to 30%. And it'll be right now, I know I'm up around 30% on these guys who don't even have teams yet. But once they find teams and their ADP starts to rise, I'll be lowering my percentages to them because I've already got my exposure at this point. And if they don't get signed, I'll just be screwed like I was last year with Will Fuller. But they're going in the last rounds. Fournette, Zeke, Kareem Hunt, those are the guys I'm talking about. So I'm fine if they don't end up signing with the team and I have to take a zero from them. I got all these other spots that can start each week, hopefully. But if they do get signed, immediately their ADP is going to shoot up.
No, I'm on the same boat there. I had plenty of Will Fuller last year as well. This year I have plenty of Fournette, plenty of Hunt, plenty of Zeke, hoping they get signed. But that is the risk we take. We know that could very well be a zero. And like you said, if they do sign with a team, their ADP is going way higher, then I probably won't be drafting any of them at that ADP. Question from my man Jordan in here. What running backs besides CMC are you taking over the top 8-10 receivers? So I rank it. I have McCaffrey 1 for sure. Eckler as well. And then Bijan. So, yeah, you look at the draft board right here. Those are the 3. Bijan's definitely my least favorite. I do like Eckler a lot. The dude's just a complete stud. Full point PPR. Fits very well. His ADP has been climbing as well from the past month or so because there was unknowns with his contract situation. Love myself some Eckler, though. Bijan, I think is all right. I do prefer a lot of those wide receivers over him, but I'm still taking later in the first round, back half of that round. I'm good. I've been taking some Bijan there. So I'm on the pick right on the clock. Yeah, I'm going to go receiver. I'll go Olave. I don't want to start running back. Not the worst thing. Of course, some drafts I do start. I run plenty of them, but wide receiver is definitely a premium early, and I want one of those stud receivers early.
Yeah, I like Olave a lot this year. I've been targeting the Saints way more than I planned on. I'm way overweight to pretty much all their skill players. Yeah, I love loading up on these wide receivers early, but when I have, I already know what my team's kind of looking like. I know a future pick, hopefully. I don't feel good enough about Josh Jacobs' situation right now. He crushed it last year. He helped you win $250,000. You had to have him to be the team. I'm cool with him. I'll be getting some of him here and there, but I really love these early wide receiver starts. And when I have 2 guys on the same team, I might just be ping-ponging that back and forth. They're not going to both start every single week, so I still want to load up on other wide receivers for other teams as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like we say, you went wide receiver the first 4 or 5 pick. I think 4 last. I know for sure 4. Maybe you did 5. But you can play all 4 of those wide receivers every single week. Get your 3 receivers, you get your flex. And wide receivers have the most spike weeks out of any position. And of course, all we care about in best ball is spike weeks. If a guy gets 1 week, that's fine. You're obviously not going to use them. Usually if he gets 1 or he gets 8, he's really not being used. If your team really is legit, you want those spike weeks. So definitely like that. And go collect, like you said, makes a good point. It ends up being a 0. It's just like somebody who gets injured during the season anyway. You're not dodging all injuries. But what I love about drafters is you can still ship. I had Breece Hall. Breece Hall was my first running back on my team. Of course, he did have spike weeks early that did help, but I survived over half the year without my running back 1. You don't have to be perfect on drafters. I didn't have 2 quarterbacks I didn't have any quarterbacks the last 2 weeks in drafters. That's why I love this format, because that's not the case on other sites. With how the playoff format is, and having to advance, you need a really healthy squad. You cannot survive a lot of injuries. If you have injuries going into the playoffs, 13, 14, 15 weeks, those weeks, you're drawing death. You have absolutely no chance to advance out of your pod. Not the case in drafters, and why this is my favorite format, no doubt about that. Does drafters have only have 150 max contests? Is their disadvantage like GPP and best ball? I think the $3 and the $20 are only 150 max. Yes, I know this $20 is for sure. I believe the $3 is as well. Is there a disadvantage like GPP and best ball? So yeah, you're saying like if you only put 10 teams in the 150, is it a disadvantage? At the end of the day, I mean, yeah, of course, the more teams you put in, the better it can be. But there can be people that put 150 teams in this contest and they make 150 bad teams and they're paying the rake in all of them. So it's not necessarily, we talk about that all the time. People say like, oh, if you 150, you're automatically profitable, whatever that is. Well, no, if you're making bad teams, you're losing money at a way more rapid rate than if you're playing single entry, 3-entry max, and all of that. 150 for good players. If you can make 150 good plus EV teams, that's where you have the advantage, of course. So not necessarily. If you only want to do 10 teams or you want to do 30 teams with $3, you can make good teams, 10 of them in a 150 max contest and still be fine. Obviously, in DFS, if they have a 20 max contest and you're only playing 20 lineups, it makes more sense to max that instead of put in a 150. But it doesn't mean that you're at a disadvantage necessarily, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I had 2 teams in the finals on Underdog, and I only had 70 drafts or so in that instead of the full 150. I've had others where in NBA, I had 2 drafts.
Oh, you got
the whole thing, and I had one of them made it to the finals. So, it just takes one good team, really.
You got sniped.
Oh, my God.
I got sniped earlier, too.
Oh,
So what I will say also about drafters compared to some of the other sites, correlation 100% is important, but it doesn't mean as much, in my opinion, as it does on some of the other sites because of how much week 17 is really all that matters on DK and Underdog. You need to be in that position to have a live team. That's where the whole payout structure is. Like, I don't know what percent of that money, but 90% of the money or something is in those last week 17 spots to be available. And that's when you're game stacking it, all of that. Whereas this, it's throughout 17 weeks. So you're playing, it's more of a cash game look is how I look at it. There's definitely correlation. Like I have Josh Allen, I'm going to try and get some Bills, but like my last team, I'm on the clock right here, but like Hurts, I only had a running back with them. I didn't have receivers. The stacking doesn't mean as much on drafters than it does other sites. In my opinion, that is.
Yeah, and it doesn't really bother me too much when I get sniped like that. No. If I was hot scissors and someone sniped Herbert from him, I'd be a little bit more mad when you got 3 players on the Chargers. But I'm fine having Chase and Higgins with no Burrow. I do that all the time with Diggs and Gabe Davis. I'll do multiple Chiefs wide receivers without Mahomes. I like doing that stuff with the good teams. They're gonna have their days, and there's still weeks where they can both start, and my quarterback, whoever it ends up being, can do fine. Then I went with my 2 favorite running backs at cost, Kenneth Walker, Alexander Madison. I have them ranked high, so I figured I would get them both right here. I'd get that at the turn quite a bit because they usually go here at the end of the 50s. I have them ranked, I believe, before 40s, right around 40. So I'm getting those guys all the time, and I'm completely fine with that. But I still do want to limit that to, 30% or so throughout my portfolio. By the time it's all over, if they both get hurt, I don't want to be completely dead. I want shots elsewhere. So since I have a lot of Walker, I have a lot of Madison, I'm also getting hedges by getting a lot of Charbonnet and a lot of Ty Chandler. In case they do go down, I can still win my leagues with those other guys.
100% makes sense. And with either of those 2 guys, we talked about it a little on the last show. Are you drafting a Chandler and Madison together at all? What are your thoughts on those 2? Chardonnay
for Madison and Chandler, I'm really not against it because I think they're both going late right now. As the months and weeks keep going on, I think they'll both get pushed up draft boards more and more. So I'm okay with Madison and Chandler. It's just that I'm not positive that they're going to be the guys. What if they end up signing one of these other guys who don't have a team yet? What if this McBride guy ends up doing something or stealing too many touchdowns? I'm not completely sure. So I still would prefer one running back from the same team on every one of my drafts. But sometimes if they both fall to me, I'll take it. I'll take the current ADP value and possibly the more CLV we get further into the start of the season.
Yep, definitely makes sense. Jordan Hawkinson, love that pick. Yeah, I love Hawkinson this year. I mean, the dude, when he got traded to Minnesota, Kirk Cousins was locked in on him. Now they got another weapon in Addison. I love that Vikings offense. Jefferson gets all the attention. You play in the dome. Love me some TJ Hawkinson, no doubt about that. Coach always in the best ball streets. Love Drafters. Yeah, Drafters is the stone nuts. And again, if you aren't signed up yet at Drafters, no better time to make an account. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% from $20 all the way up to $100. So make sure to check that out. Couple more picks. So yeah, right now, Big Marley's got 3 receivers, 2 running backs. Absolutely love that start. You see a little more color on my screen. I got my QB1 and Josh Allen. I plan on playing Josh Allen almost every single week, just like I did Jalen Hurts last year. Love that. TJ Hawkinson, plan on playing him most weeks as well. So then I got two receivers, my stud running back right there. Pretty basic start. Again, no correlation yet right here, but I'm fine with that. And how correlation is, like, you can correlate later. There's plenty of Bills guys. You can get more Saints. If I want to go Derek Carr, I still have that option there. There's 49ers later. So I don't worry necessarily about over correlating early. I do that more so late, but there's no right or wrong answer there. So I'm on the clock here. Let's see. I'll go Pittman. Don't have much Pittman this year. Again, that gives me another out if I want to go Richardson, getting receivers early.
Yeah, I mean, on Underdog or DraftKings, you would correlate a little bit with Olave and Godwin. I do that in a lot of my Olaves. But you don't need to worry about Week 17 here.
Yep.
On Drafters.
What he's talking about is Week 17 correlation. Someone asked earlier the reason to do that. Just like in DFS, usually when you're stacking a team, you use a run back in DFS. You hope that game shoots out. You hope your quarterback, your receivers, whatever it may be, they're either trail a lot of the game or they're up a lot and you have to run a run back on the other side that's going to be throwing all the time, whatever it may be. Again, Drafters, it really doesn't matter because Week 1 is just as important as Week 17.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the money is to be won in Week 17 on these other sites, but not Drafters. Yep. All right. Man, I like all these guys. I'm not big on Pierce because he's not on a good team, but I like all these other guys a lot. I am way overweight on Gabe Davis, so I'll go Pickens here.
You scared me. I'll go Gabe Davis with Josh Allen.
And if I thought about it, I would have left him for you anyways. But I'm super high on Gabe Davis. I think he's my highest wide receiver exposure-wise.
So Rybar's rankings on the site is the average the ranks from both you and titles. No, that's Marley's ranks right now. But as the season goes, I looked it over. Again, rankings are important, no doubt, but it's not like Marley's going with all these rankings and he's like, yep, this is my top guy, so I'm drafting him every time. It's independent. Based on each draft. Rankings just help you get a guideline. Like, you're not going to go 30 spots down your list and get a guy down there, but it doesn't have to be like these hard stances. A lot of these or if you go like 60 through 70, a lot of those guys are coin flips, or at least how I look at that. I'm looking at my previous player exposure, how my team looks. If it's on a different site, correlation, Week 17. On this, I look at running, like what's my running backs at, what's my receivers at, stuff like that. So Marley and I are going to be working together. Right now it is Marley's rankings. However, when news starts coming out in July, people start getting to training camp, all of that, we will be messing with them up and down.
Yeah. And I'll be messing with them each week, just kind of seeing who I'm picking. Some weeks I'll be higher, on Kadarius Toney, and then I'll kind of fall off the next week. So I'll adjust as we go. But yeah, the closer we get to the season, the better they'll get, I think.
For sure. The more news that comes out, coaches speak. I mean, there's a lot of guessing and unknowns right now. What are your thoughts on this? I'll throw it to you, Marley.
Yeah, I'm low on JSN because I'm high on DK and Lockett. I'm overweight on both of those guys, so I can't really have all three. But I getting JSN when DK and Lockett aren't there anymore. I was hoping that he would fall to me in this draft actually because I already had DK. I'd be fine stacking up the Seahawks. But yeah, I like Geno. I just like that offense this year. So I'm targeting all of them. I'm not fading Jay. He's going too high. I'm just getting him more when he falls to me. I'm not reaching for him. I would rather reach for a Lockett. I'm not reaching for DK either because he's so high in the drafts, but he does fall to me a lot. It's usually him or someone else right at the top when he comes to me. And Seahawks are a team I'm just going after a lot, where they're kind of a contrarian team. They're not your Chiefs or your Bills or your Philly. They're middle of the road who have high ceiling, and I like targeting that.
Yeah, so for me, out of Lockett, DK, and JSN, I think I have the most JSN right now. I'm definitely underweight on the Seahawks offense in my portfolio now, and that's just because they're ADP. Like DK's at 28, JSN and Lockett are in the 65 range. I don't mind going like in some drafts. I went Lockett and JSN. You get them at the turn back to back, and then you get Geno later. So I think I've had the least DK right now. JSN's my most. But again, a lot of this stuff, like player takes, is definitely important. But it's a lot of how I drafted. Oh, James Cook went. That's what I wanted. But a lot of this has to do with just how does your team look right now? At the end of the day, each team should tell its own story. So, and again, mainly more on other sites because correlation doesn't mean as much. But like if I'm getting JSN, then I like getting Lockett with them, or maybe a Fant or Chardonnay or a Kenneth Walker, maybe getting multiple Seahawks in there. That's when I'm more prone to get JSN, or I go and get a Geno or something like that later. But yeah, at ADP right now, my portfolio, I'm under 8%, which is, I guess, the average. So I'm on the clock right here. I'm thinking running back, 4 receivers, only 1 running back. I'll go with the Packer, AJ Dillon. The Fleur, I expect a lot more 2 running back sets. I thought a little more last year too. They didn't do it as much, but goal line, I mean, he'll get goal line touches. I think it'll probably be 60-40. LaFleur doesn't want a workhorse out of Aaron Jones there. Dillon, I think they'll run the ball a lot with Jordan Love there. So yeah, I like Dillon at that spot, but mainly I took him. I needed a running back. Yeah,
I'll go with Dalvin and the unknowns. When he signs, I think he'll shoot up ADP a little bit as well. I think he's still an elite athlete, just some injury concerns, getting up there in age. But the unknowns are something I'm fine targeting, and I don't have to have him as a starter since I have Walker and Madison. So I like Cook as my 3rd running back in a lot of builds. I also end up with Cook as my 1st running back in a lot of wide receiver heavy builds, which is a little scary, but it could end up really working out for me if he goes, let's say he goes to the Bengals, Mixon gets cut or whatever with these legal issues, and Cook's the guy in Cincinnati. That's huge. He would be, a top 3 or 4 round draft pick, I would think.
Yeah, no, for sure. The unknown of Dalvin, I mean, like you're saying, he could go to a spot where his ADP drops really low. I think I saw Patriots is the most likely destination. There's odds out there. DraftKings Sportsbooks has some posted, but there's definitely unknown. So I'm on the clock right here. Ooh, tough spots. I'll take. We were talking about earlier. I'll take your boy Chardonnay right there on the Seahawks. Wanted another running back. C-Mac was running back 1, and then I didn't take my second one until the 8th round. So already like my 4 receivers. TJ Hawkinson's my stud tight end, so I don't need to go tight end already. Josh Allen's a stud quarterback. I don't need to go quarterback already. So yeah, it was good taking. It was either wide receiver, running back. Chardonnay fits right there.
I like it. No bye week concerns either yet.
Yep.
Looking good.
And that's important to look at. Yep.
Maybe the top quarterback, the top running back.
And maybe
I think Hawkinson could be a top tight end. It's looking nasty. I like this one.
I appreciate it. Yours was great. We'll go to your team after this. What are your thoughts here? Are there any running backs that'll reach a round or 2 for a handcuff? No, because you're playing for a ceiling at every position pretty much. When you're drafting someone, you are saying, especially when you're talking a handcuff, that means you already drafted running back 1 on a team. If you drafted that guy, you are saying he is going to outperform his ADP, which means he is going to be a very good pick, which means the other guy, the handcuff, probably won't be as good because there's only so many opportunities to go around. So I definitely would not reach for a handcuff if he falls right at ADP. Like we talked about earlier, I asked Marley, Madison, and Ty Chandler. I'm totally good doing that. Ty Chandler is like a 195th ADP right now. You can get him one of the later rounds. Madison's a 5th round. Totally good with that handicap, because just say Madison does go down, or just say Ty Chandler's a stud or whatever it may be, you can still get there because your running back 1 goes down. Then you have a running back 2 that now becomes running back 1 at a late ADP. But I wouldn't reach for that by any means. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, you're almost hoping that your running back 1 gets hurt at some point for the handcuff to matter. So, yeah, I don't handcuff for the most part. I rarely ever have 2 running backs on the same team. I might have it, 3 times out of the 300 drafts I've done so far.
Makes sense. Yeah. Look, touch on your team right now, because I see some Viking correlation a little bit, see some Cincy, see some Seattle. Talk about the team.
Missed out on my Cincy stack, so I went ahead and stacked Kirk Cousins with Madison and Addison. I talked last week how your team that won $250K had your quarterback paired with the running backs on both teams. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially on drafters. So I like having the number 1 quarterback and the number 1 running back from a high-scoring team in Minnesota. Bad defense as well. Should be a lot of shootouts. Paired them with Addison too, so I like that. And then I got a lot of studs here at wide receiver. I'm liking that core quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And we got an unknown. Maybe something happens with Cook if he does go to Cincy. Like I said, I got all of Cincy's points without Burrow. I'd be great with that.
No, 100%. And I talked about it a little. If you didn't look at the first 15-minute video I did, just talking drafters, basic strategies, a little review of my team that was posted 2 weeks ago, targeting certain offenses, even if you don't have their quarterback, is good. If their offense scores a lot of points, outperform what the market thinks they will right now, a lot of them do get a boost. You don't necessarily need their quarterback, especially you're talking Cincy. Like Joe Burrow's a 4th-round pick. Like that's a big draft capital you have to spend. So like I'm on the clock right now. I'll touch on it after this, but I'll go some Juju. Don't hate it, but wide receiver 1, hopefully he's been dealing with a little injury, it looks like, but wide receiver 1 on any team in this round, in the 10th round, I'll take. So I have a decent amount of Juju. Still like 24 years old or something. I mean, it's crazy. So yeah. You guys want to do back-to-back drafts? I'm not going to do back-to-back drafts. Go collect. I'm leaving for Florida tomorrow, so I still got a lot to do. I got to pack. Got a dentist as well coming up, so not for me today. Go collect. Yeah. We'll be on here.
Sometime maybe I'd be down for that. I got to get back to this UFC card this weekend though and start researching it. But man, this is an ugly part of the board. I'm not liking any of these people, to be honest with you. I know I'm not stealing anybody from you here, so I'll take your backup and go Elijah Mitchell since you went with my backup. I like it.
And even if you were, everyone drafts their own team. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes he gets sniped. It's part of the game. You have to adjust. But so I'm on the clock. So I'm debating again. I'm still only debating running back, wide receiver. I'm not going to go quarterback yet. I'm not going tight end. I already love my 2 there. I'll go with a little Rondale Moore action. I'll go another wide receiver. I definitely have plenty of Arizona. Hollywood Brown, I was drafting a lot of them before. DeAndre Hopkins news as well. So I got a big discount there. But, I mean, man, with Kyler there, we saw what Greg Dortch did in the slot. Rondale, with how explosive he is, big playability. I love the spike weeks he does offer.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. And I'm also cool going – I was thinking wherever Anthony Richardson was, I would have been fine with that instead of Juju and just being done at quarterback, having Richardson and Allen, both guys who could rush for 10-plus touchdowns. Plus, you got the Pittman correlation. That's why I would have gone with that, or
Makes
possibly
sense.
gone with that. I don't really have any issues with Juju, especially if you need wide receivers. And then tight end with Hawkinson, man, I really like going, bully tight end and getting 2 early tight ends and being done. Only when it falls to me. I'm not going to reach for that situation, but if 2 tight ends fall to me, I just let the draft come to me. If they're on different bye weeks, I take that, more often than not. I've been doing that a lot lately. So I like those builds a lot because you're probably going to need double digits from your tight end every week, I would think. I'm hopefully not for me because I don't even have one yet on this. But sometimes I'll go bully tight end. Sometimes I'll go my last 3 picks of the draft will be tight end. I just let the draft fall to me. I don't really go in with any specific plans. I let it fall to me, and then I start making my plans.
No, for sure. And if I took Richardson to that pick instead of Juju, if someone did that, I don't think that's wrong one bit. If you double tight end right there, I don't think that's wrong. Like I said, each draft is independent. My thought process was, though, if I spend a second round pick, or I think it was third round pick on Josh Allen, early in the third, man, if he's not top 3 quarterback this year, like this team's already drawing stone dead. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I need him to use him pretty much every week. Just like last year, Jalen Hurts, Zach Wilson was my quarterback too. I think I used him 2 weeks out of the 17 or something like that. So I'm just telling myself, if Josh Allen stinks, if he gets hurt, whatever it may be, well, I just donated $20. Hopefully another team goes out. But yeah, because if I didn't have Pittman, and you were saying the same thing, no way you would draft Richardson. Right. But because I had that little correlation, different bye weeks, definitely would have made sense there. 100%.
Yep.
You're in Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to St. Augustine. I was actually born in Hollywood, Florida, not Fort Lauderdale, but right around there. But I'll be in St. Augustine, and I actually don't know how close that is. Go collect. You would definitely know. Have you guys done a long draft on here yet? I'm in one, and it's brutal so far. I've been waiting since. Yeah. So actually, Joe, pretty much all I do is slow drafts. And besides these shows, all I do is slow drafts. You've been waiting since yesterday. If you're only doing one draft and you do a slow draft, it's absolutely brutal. But because I run, I got 150, 200 slow drafts going on at a time, you'll always have some pick to make. But yeah, it's not for everyone. That's what's awesome, though, about all these sites, though. You have the option. If you want to go fast draft like this, you have that option. If you like the slow draft, you have that option as well. But definitely I can understand what you're saying. So I'm back on the clock. Tough. I'll go Tank. I like there's definitely plenty of upside with they drafted him for a reason. There's definitely plenty of upside if somehow something happened to ETN, but I think he'll be used. I don't see ETN running backs these days. There's no very, very few just guys that are going to get 90% of the workload, workhorses like there was in the past. So I like targeting a lot of these rookies. Chardonnay right there, Tank. So I'll go there.
I think I'm going to have to do 2 reaches. I went Everett for 1 because I don't have a tight end. And then, well, he's not going to take it out, I'm sure. But just looking over my team, Zay Jones, quarterback's already gone. Addison, I got his quarterback. DK's quarterback already gone. Cincinnati quarterback already gone. So my last stack option here that I have is Pickens. So I'm going to reach quite a bit. And take Pickett there, lock him in with them. I would even have some week 17 correlation if that mattered. I like that more on other sites, but I just hate not having a stack. So an unstacked quarterback drives me nuts. I would rather look to where I can get one stacked and even reach if I need to. But for the most part, I don't like to reach that much for my quarterbacks unless, if I have multiple options, then I let whoever fall to me. But if I'm running out of my options with all my wide receivers and my newest tight end, Everett, his quarterback was gone as well. That's how a lot of my drafts go because I target good teams.
Yeah.
So I need to find stacks where I can get them.
No, I would have, if I was you, I would have done pretty much the same thing. I love the thought process because you look at it, you and I are really early. We have to wait so long for it. There's very, very little chance Kenny Pickett was about to get back to you at 167. And what he did, he went through all of it. He talked it out to everyone. I absolutely love the thought process. He looked at all of his wide receivers. Can't stack him with this guy. This quarterback's gone. This one's gone. The last one he had was Pickett with available. And I have a lot of Kenny Pickett this year. I think he has more rushing upside than people think. They're fine QB sneaking when they get to the goal line. They showed that last year. Big arm. He has weapons. Pickens, Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson. I've ended up with a good amount of Pickett at his ADP. So, yes, it does look like a reach. And it is a reach because his ADP, you draft him a lot of spots ahead. However, it's not a reach if he ends up as a top 6 quarterback or whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I think I
like
took him from this team that's going right now. Since they had Deontay Johnson, their only quarterback was Daniel Jones. I didn't think he would make him back with that guy having 2 picks to go, so I had to swipe him up. And now I'm done with quarterbacks. I won't get another quarterback. Even if I get a crappy wide receiver and his quarterback matches up, I probably won't do it because I'm fine with the 2 that I got. Their bye weeks aren't the same, so I'm just done at quarterback with 2. And I know that I'm going to need 3 tight ends on this team because I've only got 1 going into the 14th round. So I like having 2 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends or 3 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. That's how most of my builds go.
Yeah. that 100% agree with that. I will say though, on drafters, I'm more inclined. I'm fine if I leave with 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends because of the extra 2 rounds. 20 rounds compared to Underdog is 18. But Underdog, that is a rule I definitely try to do. Again, depends on the draft. Sometimes I wait really long at QB and tight end. I load up at running back, wide receiver. It's not a hard rule, but I do agree with Marley. Usually try and tend to do 3 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends or vice versa. Love St. Augustine. Been there a few times, Nick said. Love to hear that, Nick. I was born there, and I have not been back since to Florida, that is. So I'm excited for that. Pick is really going to improve this season, I think. Yeah, I hope you're right there, Jordan. So I got a question for you, Marley. I'm coming up on the pick. Dawson Knox is staring me in the face. I have Josh Allen. The problem is I'm only drafting 2 tight ends. TJ Hawkinson is a buy of 13. Dawson Knox is a buy of 13. On other sites like Underdog, there has been times I've left the draft and have had the same bye week at the tight end just because I'm like, if I somehow lose out on my pod at 10 points at tight end or whatever it may be from that 1 week, so be it. However, that 1 week, that 10 points, I'm trusting my team of a 13-week span that it won't matter as much. However, on drafters, it's a lot harder for me to do because each point really does matter in those 17 weeks. However, if you're comparing, who else is down there? Sam Laporta, let's say, from Detroit. I have no correlation at anything with Detroit. What is your thought process there about you're killing a bye week, you're killing week 13 at tight end, taking an automatic 0, which I absolutely hate. But in an instance like this, what's your thought process there?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. My rule is I won't have the same bye weeks for my quarterbacks and tight ends, though. I'm only fine with it on one of them. I have some Josh Allen. Yeah. You're on the clock. But I have some Josh Allen and Kirk Cousins teams, both week 13. But they're just so good. I'm fine keeping that at 2 quarterback builds. If a third falls to me, I'll take it. Ooh.
See, it's harder to say. You're on the clock. So it's for me, I would never do. I cannot leave the quarterback draft doing that because 20, 25, 30 points. There's so many more points to go around at quarterback.
Well, actually, because you sold me on the idea last week when you said you won the 250K with no quarterbacks in like the 2 weeks in a row.
You are correct.
I think that proves it right there that you can handle 1 week. You're screwed if you get the injuries too at the end of the year. But if you like your team, I just don't think you have to force it because of that. I was liking it less going into last week before you said that. But I've still done it. It's mostly at quarterback, Allen and Kirk Cousins. But I'm fine doing it with Hawkinson and either of the Bills tight ends. It's just not on the same team.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're on the clock. I'm definitely more inclined to do it at tight end. I'm not sure. I don't think I would leave it at quarterback. I get what you're saying for sure. Like it worked. Last year it did it. I still won by a decent amount. Really wasn't as sweaty. So it can work. You do have to, the team does have to definitely be nutty. But yeah, tight end, I did it. It makes sense. I could talk myself through it. If I didn't have Josh Allen, though, there's no chance I would have taken Dawson Knox there and done that. It was only because that little correlation that way. And I think Dawson Knox, I'm on the clock right here. Yeah, I do not know what's going on with this is Samuel Renfro. I guess I'll go Renfro. I really do not understand why the 2 Buffalo tight ends are going like 6 rounds apart. The rookie in Dalton. In Dalton Dalton Kansad. I definitely butchered his name, but his ADP was going like 130 early in the year. It's definitely fallen to 144, but I do not understand why he is going so much higher than Dawson Knox. I definitely have way more Dawson than I do him.
Yeah, I think they're talking about putting him in the slot, so he's just going to have a lot more opportunities at catches, I would think. But Dawson Knox is going to be more touchdown dependent. It wouldn't shock me to see him put up 10 touchdowns this year. So where he's going, I'm definitely okay with it. And I would have waited probably for that pick for Renfro, grab somebody else if you liked somebody else along the same lines. But I only had 1 tight end. He only had 1 tight end. You almost
That's why I did it.
At that
That's
point.
why I did it.
You got Josh Allen, yeah.
Exactly. So just like Marley said, I don't look at other teams much, but when I do, there's only 2 guys I have to worry about. So I knew I wanted Dawson Knox. I saw Big Marley. He only had one tight end, and he definitely didn't use a lot of draft capital at it. Then the guy, number 1 pick, only one tight end. He didn't use a lot of draft capital. So I didn't think Dawson Knox would come back. That is why I took him at that pick.
Yeah, that's always look at that when you're on the turns.
Yes, always look at that for sure. Go collect. I haven't been to St. Augustine. I was born in Hollywood, also Memorial Hospital, Joe DiMaggio Hospital right there, right over here. Of course, I only remember that because Joe DiMaggio, the legend. Jordan, how important is it for you guys to try and find the hidden gem? McKinnon last year. McKinnon, baby. Always McKinnon. The lone guys who might not get picked in each draft. The thing is, it's not – who knows who that hidden gem's going to be? Like, I didn't know it was going to be McKinnon. Like, there's so many guesses. Like, it's not – hopefully you fall into the right guy. That's why you diversify all of that.
It's super
you have
important.
No clue. Yeah,
we just don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, you need it. Like, you needed McKinnon. You needed Josh Jacobs. Actually, I don't even know if McKinnon – I don't even think he was on the second team. McKinnon was a difference maker. Josh Jacobs was the guy that was on most teams up top. So he got me there. But, yeah, I mean, it's – who knows who that guy is going to be. Like, I'm not taking flag planting. Like, I don't even know how much McKinnon I had last year, to be honest. Like, it wasn't like that was my call. Just so happened to be on the right squad. So I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Exactly. Yeah. And, oh, shoot, I was going to say something. I don't know. It'll come back to me. Don't even worry.
Holly Homer, Bueno Silva in the main event.
Ugh, I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm picking home, but, man, I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
How about you?
No, I think I'm on home, too, to stay safe on top, but I don't feel great about it. I will say it's a great DFS card this week, though. I mean, last week was definitely amazing. One of the best cards of the year, but on paper, it was tough finding underdogs with the odds. This week, a lot of closely lined fights, and Jack Dell is on the card now, too, so I think we're up to like 14 fights or something, so this week's a good one.
I haven't even finished the card yet, so I haven't built any lineups or anything like that, but I'll have it done today at some point. Yeah,
no, I haven't built teams yet either, but yeah. So we got a couple more picks coming up. Again, these are 20 rounds. DraftKings is also 20. Yeah, DraftKings is 20 as well. Underdog is 18. So you'll notice once we get to round 19, round 20, gets rough. There's no doubt about that. Shakir got taken. I was definitely eyeing myself a little Shakir.
Yeah, since I'm so heavy on Gabe Davis, I have a lot of Shakir as a hedge. If Gabe goes down, I think Shakir just jumps into his place.
Yep.
All right.
I am going to go tough decisions when you get late here. I'm going to take the shot on Fournette. Again, we talked about a lot earlier. Zeke, Fournette, Kareem Hunt. Those are guys I've been taking late because if they do get signed, which obviously I'm expecting them to, I mean, their ADP is going to shoot up, no doubt about that. Ooh. Yeah, Jordan said Shakir.
That's who I would have picked for sure. I'm going to go CEH. I like the Chiefs. So if something happens to Pacheco, I feel like he takes that number one spot, not McKinnon, or else they sign somebody else.
Yep. Rybar's Izzy looked like a punk last weekend. Yeah, he did. He was definitely drunk, no doubt about that. But there was a backstory between all those two for sure. But yeah, he did. Shakir, Jordan saw the same thing.
Ooh, I'm higher on Hardman and Claypool than I am Richie James, but I'm just going to keep the Chiefs thing going. Just load up on some Chiefs players with CEH and James at the end of drafts. Maybe it turns into something.
So you scared me. You clicked on quarterback, and I was getting nervous, but I knew I wanted Bryce Young. I have DJ Chark down there. There's a couple guys. Like I have Vegas, I have New England, I have Juju, I have Renfro. There was multiple options I had to get some correlation. I like Bryce Young the best out of all of them, and I do have DJ Chark there. But what I did, I looked at Big Marley's team. I saw he had two quarterbacks, Cousins, Pickett. I saw he didn't have any Carolina guys. So I felt pretty good that he wasn't going to go quarterback. And then I looked at the first guy. He has Hurts, Tua, and Jordan Love. So if he went quarterback and sniped me, I mean, the dude's donating anyway. So I was expecting no way he would do it. sometimes crazy things happen and a guy takes a fourth quarterback and you get robbed, but you got to think that wasn't going to happen. So I was a little worried about Marley, especially when he did click quarterback, but that was my thought process right there. And I went Fournette because I knew I was going running back, and it turns out I wouldn't have got Fournette if I flip-flopped and I went Bryce Young first. So little things like that.
Yeah, I definitely would have taken Fournette there. Yeah, so if you know who you're drafting with, that definitely helps too.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't
probably knew there was like a better than 50% chance Fournette was going to go in that next.
I didn't do it just because of that. Like I said, if I thought if Bryce Young, if I had a feeling Bryce Young might not have been there, I would have taken Young and not cared as much about Fournette because I needed my second quarterback in some correlation, a different bye week. Now I'm good at quarterback, but for sure drafting with people knowing that. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, if you guys watching, we appreciate it though. If you guys hit the like button for us, hit that subscribe button, helps us out a ton. If you're watching it on replay, any questions you guys have, if you are watching on replay, you can always get in the Discord. We have an NFL Best Ball channel. Tag Marley, tag myself. If you have a question in the YouTube chat, we can monitor and look at that too. But appreciate the like button as always.
Oh, yeah. And back to Jordan's question, how important is it to find that hidden gem? What I was going to say is that's where like the rankings would come into play. The people that I'm just overweight onto the field, I'm just hoping it's those guys. If it's Fournette, then I have 32% Fournette. I'm looking pretty good with my advance rates. Who knows if he'll still be around on other sites in week 17 when it matters, but I just like targeting guys with upside. You're probably going to find them later in these drafts, like a Fournette, a CEH, whoever it is down here. We just don't know who the hell it's going to be. So that's why you can't worry about it too much. But at the end of the day, it's going to be important that you did find them, especially on drafters.
100%. Rybar's got a question. What's your cutoff at QB and tight end, like top 5 QBs, where you'll just go 2 in the position instead? Yeah, so I don't have any hard rules like that, but because I drafted Josh Allen early, I knew I was only going to go 2 quarterbacks. There's no way I'm going to go 3. So, yeah, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, a lot of those guys, like I'm only need 2 quarterbacks because you're spending so much draft capital on them where there's no reason to go 3. If they aren't going to be a top 5 quarterback, well, that team is pretty much drawing dead. So, yeah, top 5, I guess, something like that. Again, each draft kind of independent to each other. But maybe it's not a hard rule because just say you do go Burrow or something like that. And in the 20th round, when everything you're looking at is so bad, and just say there's CJ Stroud still available, so we'll use him. And just say you already have Robert Woods or you have Mechie and something like that. I don't think it's the craziest thing to go a third quarterback to get another Houston stack because you already have multiple guys like that. But generally speaking, yeah, I go Josh Allen. I'm telling myself I'm only going to draft 2 quarterbacks because I'm going to use him almost every week. Tight end, pretty similar. Like if I go Kelsey, most of my teams are only going to leave with 2 tight ends because I'm going to be using Kelsey pretty much every single week. And if I'm not, if he gets hurt, whatever it may be, well, I already used Kelsey as a first round pick. I'm not going to win anyway. So yeah, again, no hard rule, but that's my thought process.
Yeah, I try to get my first quarterback no later than Jared Goff. And then my second quarterback is usually in this Pickett, Carr, Purdy, Stafford range. And I'm cool with just 2 at that. But if I don't get 2 in that range, then I'm going to leave with a third at some point. Tight end, yeah, you basically said tight end. If I got a good one, I'm just going to get 2. I don't really care when that second one comes. Oof, I don't like this
so
part
I went
of the board. I'm going to go Patterson.
Okay.
Because it's full point PPR. He can be used as a receiver every now and then. I think he's probably close to retirement at this point, but still upside that we've seen past, 2 years ago, I guess, a little less last year.
I mean, who even knows if he stays on Atlanta? There was rumors that he might be shopped. Like you want him in another situation. There's Bijan, there's Algier there. Patterson can be used more as he's a hybrid guy. He can be receiver, kind of slot, get him the ball. He's explosive, but I would hope Cordell Patterson goes to another team and his draft stock would definitely raise.
True. Yeah, if he went to a Chiefs or something like that, if McKinnon went down, he replaced him, that could be huge.
Yeah. This is tough in this range.
So tough.
I mean, these are so gross down here. So I'm looking at it. I decided Kelly. The reason for Josh Kelly is so down here in weeks 19, 20. Last year helped. Deontay Foreman is one of my last picks. McCaffrey got traded, so Foreman just ran into running back one, ran into spike weeks as one of my last picks. I like looking at guys down here. Who's a running back two that if a guy goes down, traded, whatever it may be, that he could become running back one? Joshua Kelly. He's young, in a good offense. They don't like killing Eckler. I mean, Eckler, 65%. Like, we play DFS. We want him on the field more. They don't run him out there all the time. And if he somehow does go down, Joshua Kelly can be a top 20 running back without a doubt that way. So,
yeah, I don't have enough Kelly, to be honest with you, but I don't have enough Eckler either. So I don't have the hedge of Kelly in my lineups. And that's why it's just that first round of running backs, man. I'm not getting a whole lot of them. And someone asked, started the show, I think it was about these top three running backs. I would actually put Robinson right after Lamb, I think is how my rankings go. So he's going to be the one I'm lowest on. I definitely love Eckler and CMC because of their pass catching abilities. It's just specifically, I like the builds more where I go wide receiver in that first round.
Makes sense.
Second round, I feel like, especially at the start of drafts, you get all those guys like Pollard, Henry, sometimes Jonathan Taylor, Jacobs, Stevenson. They all kind of fall to that 2-3 turn. So I don't like having CMC and then end up getting one of those or two of those guys next. I don't like how those builds end up going. So the more drafts you do, the more you'll find out what you like. And I'm not saying I'm right. It might be CMC that ends up winning it for title here. It's just that my personal builds, my process, I go wide receiver early. Yeah,
no, it makes sense. And having something like that, like, so you're not going to get to McCaffrey, you're not going to get to those running backs as much. You're making a stand in your script more. Again, there's no right or wrong people to do it, or right or wrong ways. Sometimes people ask me, like, MMA, I have 50% of this guy. Like, is that okay? There's guys I respect in the industry that do not get more, that 150 max, that don't get more than like 35% of any guy, play every single fighter, and they make good lineups doing that. That's a good strategy. There's other guys I respect that will lock in 2 fighters, cross off 7 of them, and then just mix in the rest in 150. You can make good lineups doing that way. Like, it's all about your risk factor, how diverse you want to be. This year, last year, I made the stand with Jonathan Taylor. It was a lot easier at running back 1 because anytime I got the first pick, I didn't draft him. If he fell to me at 2, I still didn't draft him. It was easier that way. This year, I mean, Justin Jefferson's the man. I'm not fading him. If I get 1, I'm drafting him. I love Chase. Like, I don't have as much of a strong stance in the top range, and I'm going to have, at the end of the day, 800 drafts when it's all said and done or something like that. Like, I want to be live pretty much. It's all about the team. At the end of it, if it tells a story, has some correlation, the bye week situation, and I say that when I have 2 tight ends at 13, but it's all about that individual team. When it comes to percentages, that is all about how risk diverse you want to be. Risk adverse, I guess, would be it. You want to be. Tank Dell Steele, that is a name I have not drafted one bit Murray time, so maybe I'm going to have to get a little Tank Dell. But I love that. The guys that aren't really getting drafted as much, you draft them and just say they go off. It was Julio Rodriguez 2 years ago in baseball, best ball. Like, you needed Julio Rodriguez. So many people didn't draft him. He went undrafted. If you did, you shot way above everyone else. So that's even, yeah. Go collect. I will get to your question after this. I'm in 1 pick. So, yeah, 1 pick left. 2-7-8-2 I have right now.
And see, if you needed a tight end just to get rid of that same bye week, I think this would be the time. It doesn't even matter who it is type deal. Hopefully they run into a touchdown. That's when I would be fine getting 3 tight ends with an elite tight end. Yeah, no, this definitely could. My thought process, I'm still not, because I don't, to be honest, what is Zach Ertz, Logan Thomas, Noah Fant going to do in week? Like, you know what I mean? I don't really care. Yeah. If I had their quarterback, I'd be more likely to throw him in. If I had their quarterback, I would do that. I debated running back or receiver there. I don't know what I should have done. But I got a guy that's going to be on the field in 3 receiver sets all the time. So if I can get a guy that's going to be on the field in week 20, so be it. Last year was Westbrook Akine. He was on my squad. He was one of my last picks. I didn't use him much,
but it was like week 15 or something. Dude goes off for 120 and 2 touchdowns. Sign me up for one of those weeks when these guys late, and that's all I care about. We'll get to Go Collect's question, then we'll break down our 2 teams. And if anyone was in this draft that didn't say anything, you want us to break down your team, we can, or any other questions you have. But Go Collect, when having the opportunity to correlate later on in the draft, are you guys more in favor of overstacking or getting backup pieces on the week 17 opposition, DK Underdog specific? So when the opportunity to correlate later in the draft, are you guys more in favor of over? I'm more in favor of overstacking than the backup pieces for week 17 opposition. Definitely, because just say it's like the Giants or whatever it may be. You have more outs. If your guys go down, you at least have those guys that are going to jump up into that spot. That then, if you knew that, the ADP, their rounds would be like 6 rounds higher, their pick would be, or whatever it may be. More than week 17, it's only that 1 week. You still need to get to week 17. Like week 17 correlation, I think it might even be, people are probably prioritizing it too much. Like it still falls down my list of things when I look at. I want week 17 correlation, but it's in a vacuum. I'm not going to reach a round or 2 rounds just to get that week 17 correlation. So I'm much more inclined to, if I have Daniel Jones, to throw another Giant on my team. Injuries break away. You feel good that he'll be that next man up rather than taking a week 17 backup. So definitely I prefer overstacking route. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I prefer just my favorite player that falls to me. And then if there's 3 or 4 right there that I like all of them, that's when I start looking at tiebreakers, and correlation is the first thing I look at. So a lot of the times my week 17 correlation falls to me. The first guy in the queue or first guy right there at ADP just happens to be on the other team or happens to be a stack for me. So I love when that happens. I'm not reaching around for correlation unless it's to get my quarterback, like I got Pickett in this one, or if it's the other way, I got an early quarterback and I didn't have a stack piece yet, and there was only one more on the board, I'll reach to get that last stack piece. Like if I got Josh Allen with no digs, someone takes Gabe Davis from me, I miss out on Dalton Kincaid, I'll reach around for Dawson Knox or someone or Shakir just to get that stack piece because I'm a correlation freak. But other than that, it's just tiebreakers for correlation, for bad divisions, for dome teams, just all that stuff. I would rather have my favorite player on the board. That's the first thing. And then roster construction. If I freaking need a running back there, I'll get my favorite running back instead of the wide receiver I like.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I just had to check. If anytime, if you guys watched the last draft and you watch this one or that, I was on the wrong mic the whole time last show. I went back and clicked on it for a second. I sounded awful. So if I ever do that, definitely let me know in chat. But I had the right mic this time. So nightmares flashback for checking last time. But you break down your team, I'll break down my team. Any last questions, throw it in here before we get on out of here. But break down your team, Marley.
All right. I went with the Cincinnati start, figuring Joe Burrow would fall back to me. And since the first pick guy didn't have either one of the Bengals guys, I probably would have let him fall past round, what would it be, 3 and took him in the 4th.
Yeah.
But he was sniped from me, so I had to start thinking of my other plan. I ended up stacking Cousins because I have one of my favorite running backs at cost in Madison, and I also had Addison, so I reached a few picks on Cousins there. I got my 2 favorite running backs on the team at cost, reached a little bit for both of them, but my rankings are higher than both of these picks, so I'm fine with it. Got the unknowns and Cook. I might have even done that in the last draft, but it's usually when he falls to me. I'm not reaching for Cook. I'm taking him when he falls because people are scared of the unknowns, where I embrace it. I went with your backup and Elijah Mitchell, and then I just took some flyers on guys who can catch passes late in the draft at running back. I really like my receiving crew, especially at the top here. Even though I don't have Burrow, I'm going to have one of these guys starting basically every single week. I got DK, who's just a freak athlete. Addison stacked with Cousins. I love that. And then Pickens, he was the only player who I had a possible stack with. Looking at my team, what future quarterback I could get. That's why I went and got Pickett. Zay Jones, great team. Paris Campbell, a lot of hype in camp. Richie James, great team. Tutu was just the last pick in the draft. I think he has 1 or 2 week high upside where he can catch a long touchdown or two, I'm fine with that. I don't really care who about my last pick too much. It was just going to be a running back or a wide receiver. And he was the one. Time was ticking down. He was the one I ended up. And then I have 3 tight ends because I just didn't love my draft capital as the first one. I love the team that he's on. But then Taysom Hill, somebody I like to get a lot. More so last year, he was going in like the last round of drafts, so I was loading up on him. And I believe he was the 3rd highest scoring tight end. It depends on what site you're drafting on, but the 3rd highest tight end scorer because he had 7 rushing touchdowns on the year. I'm not really looking for him to catch passes. He could rush 10 touchdowns, and that'll end up being my starter most weeks probably. And then Jelani Woods, I'm a Colts fan. He's got that 10 Raz athletic freak. Maybe they could turn him into a football player. We'll see.
Yeah. Get him on the field more. Everyone loves Jelani Woods, complete stud. Who knows if he'll be on the field though?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, looking at my team, went Josh Allen in the 3rd round. So I knew right away, like even if I had no Buffalo Bills, he has all the rushing upside. He's damn near running back in the goal line as well. Like he has all the upside in the world. I knew I'd only draft 1 quarterback after that. However, I did get Gabe Davis right at ADP as well to pair with him in Buffalo. And then you look at my tight end all the way down there, Dawson Knox. I got him, reached a little bit on him. And again, we talked about it. The week 13, I have 2 week 13 tight ends. I definitely do not love that at all. However, I already had Hawkinson. I was looking at other tight ends in that range. Maybe I'll give up 10 points that week at tight end. And last year, we talked about it again. I survived without 2 quarterbacks in 2 weeks. You can survive. I don't love doing it though. However, with that correlation, I viewed the correlation with Josh Allen in the other 16 weeks, pairing my quarterback with him more important than I did. Let me draft another tight end just with a different bye week, just mainly for that 1 week, especially at a position like tight end. We're outside of those top 5 guys. I mean, there was weeks I left with Evan Ingram and George Kittle last year where I left with 4 points, 3 points, 6 points at tight end during those weeks. So I'm more inclined. I'm fine doing it at tight end if it works this way. Again, if I didn't have Josh Allen, there's no way I would have drafted Dawson Knox there. But yeah, it's an interesting topic. It really is. It's not something I do in many drafts. Looking at running backs, I'll go quarterback again. I took Bryce Young. He fell 174 ADP. He was all the way. I got him at 195. And I had DJ Chark right there as well. So a little Carolina correlation right there. If I didn't have DJ Chark, then I probably would have went Jimmy Garoppolo late with Hunter Renfrow or Mac Jones with Juju. But I like Bryce Young more than them. He fell. I had a little correlation there. Looking at running backs, yeah, I got C-Mac early at number 3. Love C-Mac. He fell to me. Sometimes I'll take Cooper Kupp there. I'll mix it up, but I want C-Mac in this draft. Waited a little bit at running back after that, though. So I ended up going 7 total, and I debated going 8. I took Russell Gage last, but I debated going another running back right there. But Dylan, Chardonnay, Tank right there. I like all 4 of those guys. 2 rookies in there. Dylan will get a little less than half the work, has some upside, some spike weeks there. Took 2 unknowns with Fournette and Kareem Hunt. They get signed with the team, their ADP is going to shoot way up, have a lot of upside there. And I took Kelly late. I wanted 1 more running back. If Eckler does somehow go down, he falls in that Deontay Foreman bucket with me last year where McCaffrey got traded. He steps into that prime role. He'll way outperform that ADP. But once you get in these drafts, 18, 19, 20 rounds, it's gross, no doubt. Going to receiver, yeah, I love my receivers. Olave, 2nd round. Godwin, Pittman, Gabe Davis with the correlation, Juju, Rondale, DJ Chark, Renfro, even Gage. All those guys are going to be on the field plenty of the time, over 50% of the time. Give me guys that are going to be on the field that can have opportunities to make plays, fall in the box. So 9 receivers right there. I feel very good about them. And tight end, I took TJ Hawkinson early, so I figured I was only going to go 2 tight ends. Love Hawkinson this year. And again, Dawson Knox with Josh Allen. I wish I didn't have the 13 at tight end, but because how it worked out, I gave my reasonings there. I like this team. I like my team more than I did on my last draft. And I didn't hate my last draft. I got Pittman, Richardson. I had a little correlation with the last one, but I prefer this team than the last one.
Yeah, I like that team as well. And Landa in the questions, actually, I think you're right. I mean, I should have drafted Trevor Siemian. I'm guessing he is the Bengals' backup quarterback. I don't even know because I have zero Trevor Siemian. But if you miss out on Joe Burrow, let's say Joe Burrow goes down, Chase and Higgins are still great wide receivers. Trevor Siemian hops into that role. Then you got something that nobody else has. I thought about that the other day. I had Andrews and I believe it was Bateman, but I didn't have Lamar. So I was like, maybe I should get Huntley with my last pick. And that was my plan, but I ended up having a stack fall to me. So I didn't do it. But I do think that's a great way to get different in these huge field tournaments.
I will say it's something I will never do. I get the thought process that way. My thought process, though, is if Joe Burrow goes down with Siemian, I mean, if you're telling me it's Siemian starting week 1, Chase is not a second pick in the draft. Higgins is not a second-round pick. They're not going to have the same production as they will with Joe Burrow. So, yeah, some people will do that. I get it. I
that would only be a last pick where I don't care about that one. I kind of did need a third tight end, so I was just going to get a third no matter what. But I mean, I think that's just a good way to you're the 1%er who ends up blowing up. If Siemian ends up being a top 8 quarterback, you got him in the last pick of the draft. I think that makes sense, but in the largest of fields.
But Landon, I think it's more Burrow gets hurt week 15. Like I said, both my quarterbacks were hurt week 16 and 17. I didn't have any quarterback, so there's other picks with more upside that you can use throughout 17 weeks than taking a chance, than hoping that does it that way. So, hey, yeah, just a thought. You're literally the only person with a backup. For sure. I get it. I'm just saying it's something I will never do. But, hey, your thought process there, Lando, you're a sharp man. 20th round pick. Those guys look gross down there, no doubt. But it's just not something I will do. That's all. But, yeah, no, it makes sense. Any last thoughts, Big Marley? No other questions I see before I get out. We'll be doing this show every single week, doing live drafts. Again, hopefully there won't be 10 out of 12 or 11 out of 12 when we go live. You guys will be able to get in more of these drafts. But final thoughts?
Yeah, the more people that we get watching and join these drafts with us, the more time we can give you guys. But last time we had to wait like 15, 20 minutes for it to start. So we were happy that it was close to filling this time. I had a good time, man. I love doing these drafts. I do them all the time. It's fun to do them with somebody else and talk through my strategy and your strategy, especially somebody who won $250,000 on this site. So it was a good time. I like both of our teams. Hopefully we'll be up at the top at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And you will be no MMA show with me this week. I will be on vacation. I'll still have my write-ups. It'll be shorter this week. Again, I'll be gone. But you and Hoop, you get Mr. Hoop, who's absolutely been on fire talking MMA. All of our content will be up. So hope you have a great week, Marley. And for the drafters, again, our promo sponsor is Drafters. We appreciate them a lot. Gave us a great promo. SHIPIT it is. If you're not over here at drafters.com, sign up, use that promo code, get $100 matching deposit up to 100%. So $20 to up to $100. They will match that 100%. We'll be doing these drafts every single week like we talked about. And football is going to be here before we know it. Time is absolutely flying. Absolutely love that, though. Marley, great stuff as always. We'll be back. I got to unclick this so you can see our face before I get on out of here. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Helps us out a ton. And I think Hoop and Tambo are doing a first look golf show today as well on this YouTube channel. So make sure to check that out. For Big Marley, I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.